Hi, it's Mark Coopersmith with a quick video module on the topic of competitive positioning. And before I even jump into what's just going to be a few slides and a couple of examples, I want to talk about how you want to think about positioning. And you want to think about positioning your product, your brand, your service in the eyes of your customers, because you're going to be communicating first and foremost to your customers and then all the other stakeholders that are out there, competitors, partners, channels, things like that. But in particular, to get that revenue flowing, you want to say to your customers through all of your marketing activities, through your pricing, through your branding, through all of those elements, through your feature set, why are you better? Why are you the best fit for them? And I want you to think about your customers through the lens of those personas that by now you've probably developed or are developing, right? The persona, that fictional representation of an ideal customer for you. Who are they? Some of their demographics, age, wealth, things like that, especially if it's consumer. If it's B2B, what's their role? What's their position inside a company? What's their title? What are their frustrations? What are their objectives? In all instances, what are they buying your product for? What is the job to be done? Whether it's a consumer business or a B2B business, what's the job to be done, right? So you want to make sure that you understand what their motivations are so that you can help address that in the way you say, our product meets your objectives, addresses your frustrations, meets your needs better than anyone else. So we want to make sure we do it through that lens. And the other thing that I want to be clear about is sometimes, especially in two-sided markets like eBay, which is an auction market, buyers and sellers, or Uber or Lyft, we have drivers and passengers. You're going to have two different personas, each of which, right, drivers versus passengers, has different needs. And you're going to have to position your product to them in separate marketing messages, most likely in different ways. So if you have markets where you've got two sides like that, you'll want to develop two sets of personas and likely two sets of competitive positioning diagrams or charts as well. All right, let's look into competitive positioning a little more. I'm going to share screen. Oh, I'm already sharing screen. So there you go. You can see that I've got a chessboard there. So it truly is a chessboard because you don't position yourself in a vacuum. You're positioning yourself vis-a-vis other players on the board in your sector. And if you don't think that you have competitors in your sector, well, either you don't necessarily know your sector very well, or you're not thinking as broadly about it as you might, because everybody has a choice. Even if that choice is do nothing, keep doing the status quo. What you have to do, because you're asking somebody to use your product, you have to offer something that offers higher value and is better than whatever their current solution is. So when you say we have no competition, well, do nothing is definitely competition. And you've got to figure out, what does do nothing mean? And we'll come back to that in just a second. So this is a picture of Steve Jobs introducing the iPhone about 11 or 12 years ago from when I'm recording this, at the launch of the iPhone. And at the time that the iPhone was launched, there were some smartphones out there. There were Blackberries, there were Trios, Motorola had an early effort or two, and there were a lot of simple cell phones out there. Nokia in particular was ubiquitous for their small little cell phones. But when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, he did two things. First of all, he introduced it in a fascinating way. When he started this introduction, he was a master showman. He was a master marketer. He said, I'm introducing three brand new products. I'm introducing a new cell phone, and I'm introducing a new way to browse the internet, and I'm introducing a new media player. So people were expecting three different products. And then he held up the iPhone and he goes, and here is that product: a cell phone, a new way to browse the internet, and a media player. Because most phones at the time didn't have great internet browsing capabilities. And the most popular way for music on the go was the the iPod at the time. And there was a whole series of those because we weren't really streaming music that much at that point. And we were very early in the media streaming side. So we introduced all of those. And then he said, it's one product. And let's take a look at this product vis-a-vis all the competitors that are out there. So the first thing he said is, do you want a smartphone or a stupid phone? Well, the iPhone is a smartphone. All the other cell phones that are out there, most of them are pretty stupid. They're just cell phones. They're the ubiquitous Nokia or some of the Motorola flip phones or things like that. So of course you want a smartphone. And then he said, do you want a phone that's easy to use or hard to use? Because there were a few early smartphones out there, the Trio and some of the Blackberries that were kind of in between. But basically he said, these are all hard to use. They aren't intuitive. They don't offer the grace. They don't offer the great design of the Apple iPhone. And he was right. So he says, hard to use and stupid, easy to use and smart. And of course, everybody went up to that upper right quadrant, which is where you want to be, easy to use and smart. And what he did is he placed that in the head of all of his customers that were potentially buying these phones, that the Apple iPhone was both of those and nothing else really mattered. So that's brilliance when it comes to positioning. Now, I want you to think about how you would position your product in the minds of your customers where they have many choices. And in most instances, you're not fundamentally disrupting a marketplace the way Apple did with its iPhone. So let's take a look and see what that looks like. First, here's a couple of quick definitions for you. Positioning is the consumer's perception of a company's product or service in relationship to its competitors. It's not what you think it is as a company pushing it out to the marketplace. It's what your customer thinks it is, whether it's a business consumer or an end user, right? And I remind you in my checklist here, refer to your personas. What benefits do your customers care about? That's what we really want to understand, who your customer is, the work that they would hire your product to do, the benefits that they get, not features as much as benefits, so that you can own a space. And then you really want to take a look at the competitors that are out there and say, what do you do that's unique and different vis-a-vis those competitors? It's through the lens of your persona, but now you want to take a look. It might be feature by feature that results in benefits, because the features you offer will ladder up to offering better benefits to your customers. Differentiation versus your competition, again, what your customers care about. And finally, as you go over time, we all know that in order to drive margins, you need to create a competitive advantage of your product vis-a-vis others. Why are you different? And barriers to entry. How do you keep me from entering your space? Do you have patents? Do you have unique cost efficiencies? Do you have a brand that is uniquely carved out? Do you just do it better? Do you have a faster product life cycle? Whatever it is. So those unique capabilities that are different, right? That contributes to your brand. Now we're going to do a quick exercise. I want to position on what matters to your customers. So let's say that I'm looking at coming out with a particular meal for breakfast. So how would you position different breakfast foods? Rather than asking you through this exercise, I'll position it this way. You could say, well, do you like your breakfast foods hot or cold? Do you like them fast or slow? Notice that there is no one right answer. Now, when Steve Jobs positioned, he said smart or stupid, right? So, but that hard to use or easy to use, that's a little bit unfair. That's more marketing than it is truly active and perceptive positioning. So here, there's no one right quadrant. You want hot and fast? Here's some toast. Hot and slow? How about ham and eggs and whatever else you might have with a full breakfast? How about cold? Do you want cold and fast? We have cold cereal for you. Cold and slow? A fruit smoothie or fruit salad or some other elements like that. So you can position and you can say, aha, if my customer likes hot and slow breakfasts, or put more to the point, I'm in the business of offering a special hot and slow breakfast product, what does somebody who looks like, who likes that product look like, so that I can target my products to them. Now, if that were the case, by the way, the one piece of advice I would give you is position your grids, your axes in such a way that hot and slow is in the upper right-hand quadrant, because that's the golden quadrant. Whenever you do some kind of a matrix, you always want your product to be in that upper right-hand quadrant. So now the question is, who's your persona and what are you positioning on? So what I'd like you to do as you build out your competitive positioning is to take a look at that and build out a 2x2 matrix based on what I just shared with you. Now, that said, sometimes people might want to position on a feature by feature basis because they may say the benefits in this category might be relatively the same, but our features are just better. We're faster, we're cheaper, we have a better interface, we offer a money back guarantee, whatever those elements are. And in the next video, or the attached video to this, there's about a 4-minute video that does a nice job explaining how to present that in a pitch. So take a look at that one as well. Thanks and good luck with your competitive positioning grids.